Every year in New York at Flushing Meadows, the US Open Tennis Championship takes place. It is one of the four legacy tennis tournaments that take place each year. The US Open is the richest of them all, with a total prize money of 90 million US dollars, and the winners of each singles taking home 5 million US dollars. It is like the IPL of cricket, the richest tournament in the world in its sports. On August 28th this year, Yannick Sinner, the Italian, beat Alexei Poprin in the second round of the tournament. Sinner won that match 6-3, 6-3, 6-2. It's a 5-set match, but he won the first 3 sets. Therefore, the fourth and the fifth sets never had to play. It is like completing a cricket match in 3 days. You do not need to play the other 2 days of the test match. So Yannick Sinner, who went on to win $2.5 million at the tournament because he came second, after that second round match in which he beat Poprin 6-3, 6-3, 6-3, half an hour after that, he was seen on the practice court doing a full-blown practice session. No surprise that he was the finalist because he puts in the work, although he blew away his opponent in 3 straight sets. At the end of the next match on center court, which followed Sinner match, the camera spanned back to the practice court, and there was Sinner still practicing 2 hours after completing a 2-hour, 1-minute match. So that match against Alexei Poprin lasted 2 hours and 1 minute. It wasn't an half an hour match. What Roston Chase should have said and would have endured himself to the entire cricketing world, instead of putting West Indies in a bad spotlight, Roston Chase should have said, there's some wonderful infrastructure here at Ahmedabad. We have decided that for the next 2.5 days, we are going to capitalize on this wonderful infrastructure. We have asked the BCCI to get some practice bowlers for us so that we can train with intensity for the next 2.5 days. He would have endured himself to the cricketing world. I have always made the point, infrastructure and finance is not a challenge in West Indies cricket. We could have taken more, yes, and we could have a better infrastructure. But the state of our game is not as a result of infrastructure and money. Those are way down on the list. Way down on the list. What Chase must understand is that Persis doesn't pump money into a product that is not providing any significant value. Persis doesn't pump money into a product that there is no meaningful return on investment. businessmen, and rich people who have money work hard for it. They are wise, very wise. Sorry, that's why they earn so much. That's why they are wealthy. They are not going to pump money into a bad product. Right now, right here, currently, this West Indies test team is offering no significant value for persons to pump money into it. If they raise the standard of their game, if they start performing at a high level, then the money will come. We just cannot go about begging, begging like we are paupers. We are West Indians, proud people, and I was very dissatisfied with the comments of Roston Chase. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. I thank you for being here, and as always, I appreciate your company and look forward to our interactions towards the end of this show. Today's show is brought to you by COOFANDY, the best in men's fashion. If you want to look good, wear COOFANDY. I wear them on and off the screen, and so I'm encouraging you to scan the QR code or click the link in the video description and shop COOFANDY today. There are many communities in this world that are socially challenged, where there's no infrastructure, many poor homes, where there's no electricity, children have no cell phone, but yet still, every year, there are great stories of resilience and achievement coming out of these socially challenged communities all over the world. You hear great story of persons achieving greatness against all the odds. If infrastructure and finances were the two biggest problems in West Indies cricket, persons would still have achieved greatness against the odds. Just like in other aspects of society, where people achieve greatness against the odds, if those things were the main problem of West Indies cricket, we would have produced a few great batsmen along the way, because they would have achieved against the odds. It's natural. Why is it? And just to name a few, and you would be able to name many more than me. Why is it Casey Carty, Alec Atanase, Kirk McKenzie, Jordan Johnson, Joel Anjo, Melius, Camille Melius, or something like that? And the list goes on and on and on. Why are they not developing into world-class batsmen? It's not the infrastructure. It's not the money. It is much deeper, much, much deeper. I am convinced any one of these players that I called, and you can call some more name, If they go to Ireland or Zimbabwe or Scotland or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or Nepal, their game would have improved. Because it's one or two things that would have happened. One or two things that would have happened. After between 3 and 6 months, probably even earlier, some of them would return home and said, we are not in that. That slavery thing. That's not my thing. You know, that is me putting it my way. I know that you will have your own way of phrase it. Them can't work, man, so hard. Me no know that. And they would come back home. But you see, those who stay, like Jafra Archer, those who stay will be flogging West Indies bowlers in a year or two time. And I definitely list those countries. Why I list those countries? None of those countries are earning more than Cricket West Indies. None of those countries has the infrastructure that we have. But you know what they have over us? They have an environment that fosters hard work, focusing on upskilling oneself and building their capacity. Building your own capacity. That's the environment that they have that we don't have here. We do not have an environment that fosters hard work. We have an environment that said we are being burnt out and we are being worked too hard. We have an environment that we procrastinate and dream about upskilling. We dream about building our capacity and evolving into better players. But we only dream. We do not have an environment that at its core, it fosters hard work. It fosters upskilling one's ability. We do not have an environment that caters for one building their capacity. The second thing that these countries have over us, not money, not infrastructure, but they create an attitude. The players in these countries have an attitude that strive for excellence in performance, a frame of mind that is singularly strained towards greatness. Yes, those countries, they don't only dream of achieving greatness. They don't only procrastinate about achieving excellence, but they have the attitude to put in the work that will allow them to achieve it. They have the attitude. The third thing that those countries have that we don't have is that our cricketers need the mental resilience of our track and field athletes who daily push their bodies beyond the limits of human endurance. And there's two things about these track and field athletes. How many of them has the infrastructure? How many of them has the finance? And if you hear some of the stories of these track and field athletes as they strive towards greatness, as they strive towards that coveted scholarship in the United States, how many of them run barefoot on stone to achieve greatness? How many of them run through the pain barriers? And I'm saying that's the next thing that our cricketers need, that the other countries have. They have great mental resilience. And that resilience exists in the Caribbean, as our track and field athletes are a shining example for the cricketers to look at and to know, see what they can achieve. I say it again, infrastructure and finances are important, but they are not at the top of the list, because year after year we see people overcoming from depressing condition to reach great heights. I don't have to tell you the many stories. You have heard them yourself. The fourth thing that we need in the Caribbean that those countries have is that we need a culture that doesn't seek to hinder the progress and development of others, but rejoice and be proud of the heights they attained and see it as a template that inspired you to achieving greatness for yourself. We heard the many stories. We heard how they used to criticize Brian Lara because of his work ethics. We heard how they used to criticize Shivnarin Chandapal because of his work ethics. Instead of them adapting the template of Brian Lara and Shivnarin Chandapal, if our many young batsmen who we see possess some skills, if they had followed the template of Brian Lara and Tange Narayan, sorry, may the good Lord forgive me to mention that name when I'm talking about greatness. Please forgive me, Lord. But if our batsmen were following the template of Shivnarin Chandapal and Brian Lara, not all of them would have achieved greatness, but I guarantee you some of them would have achieved greatness. So I say again, yes, infrastructure is important. Finance is important, but they are not at the top of the tree. How comes these guys played for the West Indies? Did they born can bat? Did they come into this world as batsmen, designed to be batsmen? I don't think so. But they end up playing for their countries and their schools and playing for West Indies because they learn to bat somewhere. And wherever they learn to bat, that is infrastructure. So the infrastructure might not be the greatest, but where did our great batsmen of the past learn to bat? What was the infrastructure? What was the finance? Oh, you're going to say the game move on. Yes, the game move on, but the basics remains the same, and the way you learn the basics remain the same. Let me tell you something about infrastructure. Many of you, yes, many of you who are listening to me right now have purchased exercise machine, the latest cutting edge exercise machine for your home. How many of you are still using those machines? The infrastructure can be there, but if the attitude, the mental resilience, the desire to achieve your goal, if those are missing, the infrastructure counts for nothing. How many of you last January made a resolution that you are going to go to the gym? And you start the first month. Some of you finish even before the first month. How many of you made resolution at the start of the year, and after that, after 2-3 weeks, those resolutions were thrown out the door? And as we go towards the end of another year, that cycle is going to repeat itself. But by mid-January, towards the end of January, you will stop going to the gym. You will stop using the exercise machine that you spend thousands of US dollars on. Why? Because it takes more than just infrastructure to achieve your goal. It takes more than just infrastructure to achieve greatness. It requires intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. It requires pride. It requires the right attitude. It requires the desire to achieve greatness. It requires those things. Please remember to scan the QR code and check out the COOFANDY store, or click the link in the video description for the best in men's fashion. Roston Chase said in part. But what I would like to say is, yes, there's obviously a struggle in the Caribbean for finances. So whatever help we can get, this, I don't know how you look at this, but this hurts me. It hurts because I know that we don't have to beg. And here is the West Indies captain selling his own soul There's obviously a struggle in the Caribbean for finances. So whatever help we can get. I don't know what he means by that part, but he said, I hope that we do get it so that we could strengthen the infrastructure for cricket. I already told you what I think about that. He continued by saying, yea, that is some of the infrastructure problem that we do have, he said. He was referring to the pitches. The reporter was asking about the pitches. And these are the things that we talk about IQ. That these reporters were asking Chase these questions so that when they sit among themselves, they can laugh. They can laugh at us, the people in the Caribbean. But apparently, the West Indies captain is not picking up on these things that he is from the Caribbean. And as a representative of the people of the Caribbean, he must answer questions in a manner that will allow us to maintain our pride and our dignity. He must do that. When you answer these questions these ways, Roston Chase, the cricketing world laugh at us. They have a drink and they say, ha, 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 ha. We have them where we want them. We have them. You know what would have got them mad, Roston Chase? Is what I suggested earlier. You saying to them, you know what? For the next 2.5 days, we are going to practice. We have asked the BCCI to get some bowlers, some net bowlers to us. But we are going to practice the next 2.5 days. That would have shown Caribbean pride. That would have shown the resilience of our track and field athletes, Roston Chase. So guys don't really bat for long periods and score big scores. Oh, you can't bat for long period, Roston Chase, when you don't train for long periods. I made the point so often, and all of you know it. You know it. Usain Bolt, Shelley and Fraser, the ladies from Bahamas, Julian from St. Lucia. She completed the 100-meter race in less than 11 seconds. She completed the 200 meters race in less than 22 seconds or just thereabout. Yet still, they trained for hours and hours each day to run a race that lasts less than 30 seconds. And you are playing a cricket match that lasts for 7.5 hours per day, 5 days, and you expect that batting for 20 minutes is preparing you for bat for a day? I ask any West Indian batsman in this squad, or any batsman in the region from Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, Leeward Islands, Windward Islands, I ask them to tell me if they ever bat 500 balls one day yet. 500. You cannot bat for long period. You know, I heard Ian Bishop saying that West Indies batsmen must not be satisfied with scoring 20s and 30s. And I ask myself, do Bishop really think they're satisfied with that? How many of you think that our batsmen are satisfied with scoring 20s and 30s? I don't. I think they want to make hundreds and double hundreds. So I'm saying to Bishop, that's vague, Bishop. That's vague. None of these batsmen are satisfied with scoring those runs. None. It's the process that they need to engage to allow them to score more than those runs. Is that their methodology and the approach to batting cannot sustain them at the crease to make more than those runs regularly. Infrequently, of course, they will make those runs. But the approach to training has to improve. And so, Roston Chase, it is not about the pitches in the Caribbean are not batsman friendly. Because clearly, you have not looked at the runs that were churned out in this year's regional 4-day tournament. You have not looked at those runs. You have not looked at see how many batsmen scored more than 500 runs in the tournament. You have not looked and see that there are a record number of centuries scored in this year's tournament. Not even when we used to have 10 rounds of tournament were there so many centuries scored as the ones in this year's tournament. So Roston Chase, why are you on the world stage throwing our creators under the bus? Why? Why? You are going to come back home. You are going to go to Kensington Oval at Barbados. And you are going to look that curator in the face. And you are going to throw him under the bus. So when you come home and in Barbados, who are you going to call and said, whatsoever his name, so that his name is John Brown. How are you going to call John Brown, Roston Chase, and said, John, Chase calling, man. Prepare a pitch for me now. Want to knock up some ball for 2 hours. How are you going to do that, Roston Chase, when you're throwing your own creators under the bus in front of the world cameras? How? How are you going to do that? Tell me, Roston Chase, how? He said, that's why you see guys averaging so low. That is finding excuse, Roston Chase. That is finding excuse. That is finding excuse. I've already said it, why the average is so low. Is that the pitches, Roston Chase? It's the mental resilience, the attitude, the environment, the lack of the desire to achieve greatness. How many times must I say it? Compare the infrastructure all over the world to what is in Jamaica, Bahamas, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Trinidad. Ask Walcott what infrastructure he has to work with. He won the gold at the World Championship. Ask him. All, you could say 95% of the countries that took part in the World Championship have better infrastructure than us in the Caribbean. And if you add up all the medals that we in the Caribbean earn, we were probably first or second or the least third on that list. Just stop the excuse finding. It is like, instead of finding solution to the challenges that you are facing, you are finding every excuse not to deal with your challenge. And after finish that match in 2 days and a session, you have an ideal opportunity to deal with some of the challenges for 2.5 days. And you refuse. You choose to find excuses. You choose to. You choose to. You know? So it is very, very very, very concerning. We continue. At the same time, we are conscious of building continuity and depth in our test squad as we look to compete consistently throughout this World Championship. At the same time, we are conscious of building continuity and depth in our test squad. Where is that depth coming from? I ask you the question. This is not only for Cricket West Indies and for Roston Chase. I ask you the question. Where is that depth coming from? As I said, we need a paradigm shift. We need to look at the template. And this is something that I'm preaching now for 2 years. We need to look at that track and field template and take the things out of it that can also align with cricket. Take the things out of it. Because there are some good things. We need to look at those track and field athletes and adopt their templates. I don't know if it is still happening. But I know that in the past, a large percentage of track and field athletes, you saw I made the point about pushing their body beyond the point of human endurance. I know for a fact that there are athletes who don't stop training until they vomit. That is the signal that they have pushed their body to the absolute limit. Not one athlete, not two. It was like the culture. If you don't puke up, you have not trained hard enough. I know that was the culture. Don't know if it's still happening. I'm not around track and field anymore. But I know our cricketers train for half an hour and speak of burnout. And I'm saying to Cricket West Indies, don't waste money at the Cricket Academy if you guys are not serious about creating an environment creating an environment that will foster hard work. Don't waste money. Don't waste money if you are not creating an environment that will be focusing on upskilling the players. Don't waste money if you are not creating an environment that is prepared to build the capacity and upskill the players. And who refuse to do the hard work, send them home. Send them home. Don't waste money if the players and the coaches do not have a deep desire to strive for excellence. Don't waste money. Don't waste money if their singular focus is not on achieving world-class status. Don't waste money if they are not able to build up the resilience that is displayed by our track and field athletes. Don't waste money if they are not prepared to push through the pain barriers. Don't waste money. Don't waste money if the culture is hindering progress. Don't waste money if the culture is not enhancing development. We need a paradigm shift. And if the coaches are lazy, we must get rid of them and get coaches like Chandarakat Pandit or Justin Langer. Get coaches who are serious. And we the people, we the supporters of West Indies cricket, when coaches takes decision against a player, give the coaches a chance to prove why they took the decision. When Cricket West Indies make decisions against a player because they do not appreciate where the player is trending, back Cricket West Indies. We cannot go back to the days when Evan Lewis was dropped because he was unfit and we lashed out at Cricket West Indies. As a result of that, Cricket West Indies have a set of players who are unfit, who are not training, because we lashed out when we put those rules in place. We can't do that. We must allow West Indies to set the standard and do not compromise if we want to support a winning team. If we want our team to start winning again. I told you the other day, India slaughtered us in the first test. 2 days on a session. They beat us by an innings. But those Indian players, they have 3 tests that they have to pass before they can represent India. They have to pass the yo-yo test, they have to pass the time trial, and they have to pass the Bronco test. Or Bronco. What physical tests a West Indies cricketer have to pass? West Indies tried to introduce the yo-yo test, and we bashed them for it. Because what? Pollard could not pass it. And because other players could not pass it. And because we want them into the team, we bashed them for it. we were prepared to lower the standard so that our countrymen can play. And right now, we have a set of players who cannot last 5 days, who cannot bat half hour before they start breathing heavily from their mouth. That's what we want for the West Indies team? Is it? That's what we want. We have to draw the line somewhere in the sand. We have to. We can't continue like this. We can't continue. And you see, for all of you who are saying that X should play and Y should play, and what happened to X and what happened to Y, what have they ever done in the past to justify their selection to the West Indies team? What have they done? What is the record that they have that separate them from those who are playing? Show me their record. Show me. Show me the record that they have that you say, yes, this person is outstanding. This person is churning out hundreds, one every 3 innings. No. We have some batsmen who can hardly pass their age. Show me which one. Tell me which one. Tell me. Tell me which one of these batsmen. Tell me which one of these batsmen that you are ready to call their name who has a record of doing better than those who are playing. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me which one of them. Can you tell me which one of them? Which? I heard persons talking about Himlak. For example, Himlak. And I said it many times that I would not drop Himlak against Australia. But what has Himlak done to separate himself from the others? Oh, you might say he's a better keeper than Hope. The days are long gone when Test team pick the best keeper if he cannot bat. You could say, oh yes, he deserves a longer run in the team. And there might be some justification for that. But what has he done to earn that longer run in the team? You know, there's a difference between giving a man a chance than a man earning it. And I'm not going in on Himlak here now, but I'm just showing you the discussion, and I'm just using him as an example when we call name, because you can call any name and I can do the same thing. Himlak made the Test team not because he earned it, you know. He made the Test team by default. He made the Test team because Joshua Da Silva was so poor and they're just giving another man a chance. Look back at Tevin Himlak first class average. Himlak have never made his age, has he? Probably. But I can't recall, so if he does, please correct me. But to the best of my knowledge, Himlak has never made its age for West Indies A team. Never, to the best of my knowledge. So yes, he gets an opportunity in Pakistan. And I would have picked him against Australia, yes. But I would have picked him more from default. I would have picked him more from the fact that he got a chance in Pakistan. And I think that before you drop a man, he should get an extended run. That's why I would have picked him against Australia. But there's no performance data to say that he earns his place in the team. And that can be said for many, many, many of our West Indies batsmen. In fact, that can be said for all of the West Indies batsmen in this current generation, this current cycle. So when you are prepared to call names, show me the record. Show me their record. None of them. None of them. But you know what is worse than the player's record? And I've dealt with them. So it's not that I don't lay it out on them. They are not performing. I dealt with them. But you know what is worse than the player's record? We have a coach that is out of his depth. Eight, 7 is 56. 56. 56 innings that our batsmen have played since Darren Sammy took over the test job. 56 innings. Yes, the batsmen are not up to standard. But under your stewardship as the coach, every single one of those batsmen average have decreased, except for those who you brought in the team, like King for the first time. But every single one of those batsmen under your stewardship, their average of decrease has decreased, Darren Sammy. Fact. So it's not like the batsmen are good. They're not good. But they are getting worse. Worse under your stewardship. Every single one of them average have decreased. And except for the fact that you call back a man John Campbell, whether you agree with John Campbell coming back into the team or not, you call the man in the team who have played 20 test matches and have not made 70 in any innings. 20 test matches and have not made a century, have not passed 70 in any of those 20 test matches that he have played. But yet still you choose to drop a man who played less than 10 test matches and scored 100? Yes. You know, and he's the exception. John Campbell, I'm just nothing against any player. I'm just calling his numbers. If I'm telling lie, tell me I'm telling lie and I apologize to the player because I'm not here attacking any player. I'm talking about the numbers. I'm talking about performances. I'm talking about the data. John Campbell is the only West Indies batsman since Darren Sammy took over the test team, except for Brandon King, of course, who have scored more than half his highest total. I'm not going to talk about highest total because batsmen don't get up every day and score them highest total. So, John Campbell and Brandon King apart, and Kevlin Anderson, None of the batsmen in the West Indies team have passed half of their highest test total since Darren Sammy took over as coach. Half. None of them have passed half. Fact. Not bashing Sammy. He's the greatest coach in the world. But I'm stating the fact. None of them have passed half their highest test total. Half. Every single one of them average have dwindled under Darren Sammy. He must go. Even if he's staying as the white ball coach. And that's why he should not have been appointed all format coach, because you want to judge him separately. And I'm prepared for him to revert back to the white ball coach. I'm prepared for that. But he must step down as head coach for the test team. 56 innings and not one of your batsmen score 100. 56 innings and only one of your batsmen pass 50. 56 innings. 56 innings. 56 innings. You know, I saw somebody mention something about Schoolboy. The thing about, and one of the theories that I have, apart from those that you hear me listed just now, one of the theories that I have about why we develop these youngsters and they do not matriculate to the next level sufficiently, it's because once they leave school, that environment is no longer there. The discipline environment that the school cater for, the environment of trying to achieve excellence in that environment in the school. So we are able to see good players coming out up to the age of 18, 19, like the Andrews, the Melius, the Jordan Johnson, the Kirk McKenzie, you name them. The Casey Carty, the Shimron Etmire, you name them. They are good. They are on par with their age group in the other countries. That is a result of our school system. Because all those things you heard me listed earlier, the school systems have that, have the environment, have the culture. The school system have that, the discipline. And that's why, one of the reasons, and that is why I said that these things must start happening at the academy. And I made the point again, you know, and I hope Cricket West Indies is listening. You must have a template to select the players for the academy. It can't be that you are going to select 15 players and so you take 15 players because you choose to select 15 players. I don't believe in that template. I believe that these players that you are taking, you need to do psychoanalytic analyzing the players. You have to look at their performance, their attitude, look at their psychological mindset, and all of those things that you use to choose the captain of the West Indies team. And so, if it's only 5 players fit that bill, it's 5 you take. Because you are creating an environment of high performance. And I always use the example of the pilot. When you're in an aeroplane, do you want a pilot or a pilot is flying the plane because, you know what? We just didn't have anybody else, so we have to take, not the best in class, but a pilot who barely scraped through, but because we need to train 100 pilots for the year, we still have to give some pilot with C grade, and one of those pilots is flying your plane. Do you want that? So it's the same thing West Indies. The academy must not be a number, but it must be a quality. Not the quantity, but the quality that is coming out of the West Indies Academy. That is what you must strive for. That is what you might strive for. Right? That is what you must strive for. That is what you must strive for. You know? Please remember to scan the QR code and check out COOFANDY, the best in men's fashion. The link is also in the video description, along with the Cricket Forum store. There you can find some wonderful gears. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones.